واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Today, probably the last Friday in Ramadan.
Yeah.
And Ramadan, the months have passed so quick. And we want to have just maybe the last message from Ramadan. And to understand the purpose and the wisdom behind Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prescribed these days. You have Ramadan, you have the day of Arafah, you have so many beautiful days Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have prescribed for the believers, for the Muslims. And one of the main important things is these days are like training camp. You see the brothers are doing here the isolation. You know, they're staying in the masjid for 10 days. Isolating from the whole world. Why is this?
That's true.
Why is this? This is to build, you know, as any other athlete or any other sportman or any other fighter on the ring. When he goes, what does he do? He trains. He goes up the mountain. You know, he goes into swimming against the current. He does things. So when he goes on the field or on the ring, what does happen? He'll be able to succeed. He'll be able to win.
And also he
So,
brings the credit.
of course. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in these days, He want to build the stamina. When you go outside the world, you'll be able to overcome what's going to come in front of you. One main purpose is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling every day we're reminding ourselves and we're asking Allah for it, which is اهدنا الصراط المستقيم, الاستقامة. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wants permanent change. What's istiqamah means? Permanent change. You be in your way all the time. And one of the things which the people of the cave, the people of the Kahf, they have done, what they have done? They ask Allah for istiqamah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, okay, take the road, leave the town, go outside, and you'll see me supporting you. That's number one. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when in the story of Musa, he has Bani Israel from one side, and he has the Pharaoh on one side, and he's asking Allah for help. What did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell Musa? Fastaqi, and Musa and Harun, he was asking Allah for dua, and they making dua, supplications, pray for Allah. He said, Fastaqima. What did the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu when he was in the tough times in Mecca, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help? What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Hud? Fastaqim bima umirt. Be steadfast as I have prescribed or as I have ordered you to do. So from there, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how, when we want to just stop at a few points, how we do the istiqamah. Istiqamah is you going on a straight path. But what is going to happen? You're going to have problems. You're going to have, you're going on say you're driving from here to the mosque, or I mean from home to the mosque. You have traffic lights. What do you have to do? You cannot pass the red light. You have to have patience.
No compromise.
And patience. Number one is patience. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you read Surah Al-Kahf from the beginning to the end, you see how many times the word patience is being repeated. So many times. Because you will not be able to reach anywhere with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without being patient. You have to be patient, number one. And this is what the fasting is teaching us. You have 14, 15, 16 hours of fasting. What do? You become patient. Number one is patience. Number two is restraining. You're driving on your path. Okay? We said from home to the what happened? You cannot be, when you're driving, you cannot be looking around. Okay? You cannot be on your phone. So you have to have what? Restraining. Restraining means you stop other things which will distract you from driving to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you're driving to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there will be a lot of hurdles. Okay, there will be YouTube, there will be somebody calling you, oh, this guy said something about you. This guy is saying, sending an email about you. I heard that this, I heard that. This movie, let's go, you have a wife, you have a kid, oh, let's go outside spending this week there and this week there. So there's going to be so much distraction. But you have to understand that I'm going to be focusing on my right path. You know, that's number one. So number three is sacrifice. When you are, that's why the prayers in Jama'ah, the prayer in Jama'ah is worth 27 times more than bringing her home. Allah doesn't put like arbitrary, assignments here. No. It's for a reason, because you're sacrificing. You live in your home, you live in your work, you're leaving everything behind you. You're driving. Okay, your time, you're sacrificing your time. So you won't be able to reach or achieve that straight path without sacrificing. So the sacrifice here is another thing. Because everybody think like, okay, I wanna be the best Muslim ever. But there is some stuff you have to leave. You have to leave out, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you that, being on the steadfast. And you see one in the Surah Al-Kahf, the biggest one of the examples is Sayyidina Musa and the Khadr. Musa, he have traveled miles and miles and miles. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He asked him to do this. So number 4, which we come to, obedience. Obedience, whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have brought down on the tongue of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, the actions of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam are mandatory on us. We cannot question them. We cannot say why and why not. There is wisdoms. We can go and bring wisdoms here and wisdom there, but we cannot reach to every wisdom. Why? The reason behind everything. So we have to be obedient to Allah and His Messenger. Not question everything. Why this, why that? There is wisdoms, but we, by our limited mind, our limited ability, in a lot of times, we're not able to reach, and we're not going to be able to reach to every wisdom behind the prescribed, the regulation of prescribed duties Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His messengers ask us to do. Okay? One of the most important things also beyond the sacrifice is sincerity. Why you come into the masjid? Why you going? Why you want Allah? Are you want Allah to show off? No, it has to be sincerity. The people of the cave, from inside their heart, they were sincere. They said, we don't want to worship who? Wherever their people were worshiping. Okay? We don't want to be under that control of that tyrant king. Same thing, who said it? Ibrahim alayhi salam. He said, what are you people are worshiping? You're worshiping statues? Idols? No. And he broke all of them. Same thing. The Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam, he stopped and he confronted his people. What you guys are worshiping? So there were here a reason, a valid reason. Sincerity have what? Sincere reason to make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala what? Satisfied. To Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala happy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's laws and regulation and sharia and laws are what? Are established on earth. That's why at the end of Surah Al-Kahf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have put like the last story. The last story was the story of Dhul Qarnayn. Inna makkanna lahu fil ard. After people who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He brought what? He brought stories of people who are struggling in their faith, struggling to establish the rules of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He came with the icing on the cake. Dhul Qarnayn. What happened to Dhul Qarnayn? Inna makkanna lahu fil ard. We have given him authority. We have given him reasons to establish the religion, the tawheed, the monotheism of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth. So after the struggle, after the sincerity, after the sacrifice, there will come the rule of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth. You see Ashab al-Kahf, when they wake up, they find what? They find their town, they all become Muslims. And then this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the end of the story, after the good actions. Because people right now, as a Muslim ummah, they're saying, oh, what's happening? Why Allah is not on our side? Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is punishing us? Why this is happening here in Palestine? Why this is happening here in Sudan? Why this is happening here in Saudi Arabia? Why is this happening here in Egypt? Why is this happening here in Pakistan? Why is this happening here in Bangladesh? Why? And then this is what happened. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Kahf, He said what? You need to have what? You need to have sacrifice. You need to be steadfast on the path of Allah. Fastaqim. Steadfast. And we said you're gonna have to what? Sacrifice and sincerity. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the end of Surah Al-Kahf, He said what? Inna makkanna lahu. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will establish this religion where? On earth. But you have to do what? The homework. You have to do the sacrifice. You have to do the steadfasting, to be steadfast. And you have to do what? The sincerity. You have to be sincere. I'm only doing it for you, Ya Allah, because I want to be with the Prophet Muhammad عليه الصلاة والسلام and his companion. أقول قولي هذا استغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين.